Fantastic question. And speaking of that, good evening, everybody. My name is Drinks Glue. I am joined in the booth tonight by Medes24, who will be tracking for us, and the one, the only Physics Shebang. Physics, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. Glue, how are you doing?
Not too bad, my dog. What do we have in store for everybody tonight?
Well, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a wonderful race between two aspiring Moogles in our newly inaugurated Moogle Cup. We have Gretham and his mentor, Numbers JS, versus Velvet X and his mentor, the Schwantz 27. This should be a wonderful time. Now, Glue, this is sort of your brainchild, right? What do you think about it so far?
I think it's been a fantastic development. A lot of the players have responded very positively to having those one-on-one situations where you can sit down with the more senior member of the community and learn the ins and outs. Plus, the Moogle Cup plans are pretty fun. They're a little easier than Ultras League, so they're a little more newbie friendly, if you will, new player friendly. So you'll see a lot of our Moogle Cup players are actually Ultras League participants in the lower brackets, but the Moogle Cup is also another place for them to learn and take what they learn and translate it to Ultra League possibly one day, and other flag sets as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Ever since I heard about it, I think it's just a wonderful idea that you sort of came up with here to have a just direct mentorship with new or less experienced players in the community to get them up to speed and let them hit the ground running when they jump into Ultras League 7 or even this season's Ultras League 6.
Yeah, about half of the Moogle Cup participants, I would say, are in Ultra League Season 6. And then you're seeing the improvements every day. We had Gretham, just last night post about a 120 in his first Moogle Cup race, and he's
Yeah, I
turning
saw
around
Velvet
tonight.
X.
He's gonna
Yeah,
turn around and see what he can do tonight.
absolutely. And I know Velvet X posted, I believe it was a 117 in his previous race. So we have two Moogles that are really swinging for the fences here.
Yeah. We'll be getting started here in just about 90 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. A little recap. Gretham did his first. So in the first round of the World Cup, our runners have 3 weeks. There are 16 total participants. They are divided into groups of four, and in your group, you have 3 weeks to 1v1 everyone else in your group in a sync race. And this will be Gretham's and Velvet X's 1v1 for their group phase. They have both already done one of their matchups, and they have both are 1-0 currently. So somebody's taking the L tonight for the first time.
Yeah, two undefeated competitors. You love to see it.
Yes, indeed. And expanding a little bit on the format, what we do is again 16 participants into four groups of four. We will take the top two placers out of each of the four groups and narrow their field down to eight. And then after that, we will run an async and cut them down in half until we have one Moogle left standing.
It is amazing. And, we have this current one running, but we did just reopen the signups for future Moogle Cup, I guess, runners. We need 16 total before a new one can start. Is that right, Glue?
That is 100% correct. This Moogle Cup is not a one time thing, it will be our new ongoing community uh, type of mentoring environment. So basically, once this one is over, once we have 16 participants, and enough mentors for Moogle coverage, we will run another one, and we will keep doing so as long as we have enough interest to keep doing so.
Man, that's fantastic. So, don't feel like you're too late if you are interested in getting this sort of one-on-one mentorship and up your game here. Once we have another 16, another one will get kicking. So,
Yeah,
if you're interested, please sign up.
and I think we will have quite a bit of interest once this one's over because it took all of maybe a day and a half to get enough signups for everything, and then we kept having signups trickle in. So there were a handful of people that unfortunately missed out. We just took everybody in the order of which they signed up. But the moment once this one's over, keep in mind too that just because you run through the Moogle Cup one time, depending on how you do, you may still be eligible, kind of fall into that bracket where you can run through it again if you so desire, because you are at the end of the day only doing 3 races, and when you think about how many seeds some people have run, sometimes it takes a while to really get Worlds Collide down. So keep in mind, we're just doing 3 mentor sessions plus maybe some other work with your mentor off outside of the race. So some of our Moogle participants, they are eligible to sign up and run through it again to get even more seasoning if they choose to do so.
That's perfect then. How exactly do you determine eligibility?
What we do is we just spin a clock, a random wheel, and if it lands on yes, then you're eligible. If it lands on no, you're not.
Oh man,
And
sign me
that's how
up.
we do that. That's how any sensible person would do that. No, it's not an exact science. But in the we kind of have a rough ball. Like if you're on that cusp of that, not, tonic kind of maybe you're in potion, but maybe you're only in potion, but you're not competitive in potion in Ultros League. Maybe you're a new player to the community. Again, if you've gone through the Moogle Cup and then maybe you didn't pull out any wins, or maybe you didn't really make as much progress as you wanted to, there is no exact ELO rating where you fall on this barometer of standings that says yes or no. It's kind of an eyeball test, a litmus test, if you will. And if you are unsure, if you kind of fall into that bracket, just in the Moogle Cup thread in our community Discord, which I will link to right now, actually. There we go. You can kind of inquire and ask about because sometimes self-awareness is hard to come by because we did have some players who are kind of on that cusp and they weren't sure. And to be honest with you, some of those players were fantastic, and I don't understand why they would um, they really sell themselves short. And on the other hand, we have some players on the cusp of being ineligible just because they've come in so long, such a far way in such a short amount of time. Like Christopher Workin. Christopher Workin's a fantastic player, and he's been coming along the past couple of months, and he is running through the Moogle Cup as well. And he's probably going to be one of those players that graduates out of the Moogle Cup, and he's officially ready. He's been through the Warring Triad. He's been through a couple seasons of Ultra League. He's officially ready to take the next step and become one of the top players in the community.
Oh, for sure. He came into the community like the Kool-Aid man. He
Oh
just
yeah,
rolled in, started throwing seeds down, doing every race he could find, jumped into comms. Like, dude's a legend. He went all in on it.
yes indeed. So I think we're gonna kick it off here in just a moment. Let's give him a 12-second warning. Let's be very lenient.
Ooh, very generous of you.
And we have given the ready command to the runners in the race room. Be a 10-second countdown, and we'll be off and going here in just a moment.
We got 3, 2, 1, and off we go.
Beautiful. Important sign right there on your screen. We didn't see any double hashes or double repeats in the hash, so that's a very bad sign so far. But we'll see if we can rebound.
Absolutely. We have a Sword Tech, a Lore, and a Blitz character. Sword Tech Shadow, a Blitz Mog, and a Lore Celis with Natural Magic, I believe.
That's a pretty juicy start.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. You can really, get a seed rolling pretty fast just with that.
And for the viewers at home, some of the small details differences between a Moogle Cup race or a flag set and the Ultra League flag set. The stats are a little more lenient for the Moogle Cup. Stats can fall anywhere for a character from 100% to 125%, whereas in Ultra League it's 80% to 125% of the character's vanilla stats. Chests do good 10% bump. We do have a little bit of bump in the shops as well. We allow multi-summon. And a couple of other little things kind of ease up a little easier on the scaling. A few other tidbits hidden there, but they're generally a little easier flag set than Ultras League.
Yeah, including everybody's favorite, Shock. I don't know
Yep.
about you, but every time I got to use Leo and Vanilla, I absolutely adored it. And that did not change when I started playing this with Shock, with Moogle flags when I first started.
Nope, Shock is a fantastic ability. In the vanilla game, you would never know it because it does 0 damage on all those Guardians, but that's another story for another day.
Absolutely. So far, it looks like they found a Thunder Shield in the sort of Moogle shed back there. So that's also a really good starting item to find. Getting that level 2 spell online early can really kickstart your early game in Worlds Collide. And early earrings with
Yep.
the lore start. That's not bad. Hopefully the lores are good. I don't think either of them have checked it yet.
No, I believe Gretham went through them. There wasn't any of the big three, which the big three to me are Blowfish, Quasar, and Grand Train. We didn't have any of the big three, but we did have some other ones that were pretty useful.
Okay. Well, hopefully we
We,
have what's it called, Healing Wind. What's that one called?
Pearlwind, Pearlwind.
Whirlwind. There we go. That one is extremely useful. It's just Mantra 2.0.
we saw Velvet X pick up some white dresses there too, so really looking to juice up that Mage power at the start here.
Absolutely. And Gretham going straight in for what looks like a Cyan over at Gao's dad's house.
Oh, another change for Moogle flags, or Moogle Cup flags that I want to point out is that we do allow Super Balls to appear in shops, and Gretham has come across them.
That is huge. I have to assume that Velvet will likely do the same and head over there to do that free check while he's in the area, but we'll see. Now, I have a vague understanding of Super Balls, and the main thing that I know is that they kind of do random damage. Is that pretty accurate to where it can do a huge amount of damage even at level 3?
Yeah, so the damage in Super Balls are not tied to anything as far as a character's stats or level. The minimum amount of damage a Super Ball will do on a low roll is 256 damage, and then it can do up to, I think it's like 5,608 or something, right in that ballpark, and anywhere in between in increments of 256 damage. But so you can see that how they kind of scale off. If you need a high roll to do 5,600 at the end of the game, that's really not that great. Anything that would fall between. But you can imagine at level 3 having the ability to do over 5,000 damage one turn with a level 3 character is very, very broken, which is why you don't see Super Balls in a lot of flag sets anymore. But in Moogle Cup, we do kind of want runners to learn a little bit of everything. So that's why we do allow Super Balls for them to learn what they are, what they can do. So that way when they do come across them in various flag sets, they're aware of their power.
Absolutely. And, speaking of being introduced to a lot of different things, it looks like Cyan came up with Rage.
Very nice.
Which is always a fun one to try to learn. There's, 3 or 4 different rages that you have to learn, roughly, in order to properly use it. Ooh, did I see an offering over in the relic shop there on Velvet's side?
Yeah, and there was an Atma weapon in one of the barrels, so that is very, very, very interesting so far.
Well, there's a ready-made in-game setup right there. Atma weapon is, not the greatest early on because it is so level dependent, but once you get higher level, especially if you can pull out an experience egg, late game with an offering, you're really slapping down some numbers.
Yeah, Atma weapon, the most broken weapon in the game, if you ask me. We're seeing that's an interesting play there from Velvet because he went through the house, then he went back across the little secret alley that you go through with Locke. Now he's come back up to the item shop.
Yeah, I tend to circle around a little differently than that.
Oh my goodness, there are Super Balls everywhere.
They're everywhere. And also, speaking of rages earlier, I'm terrible with them. That's one of my weaknesses. But I did see 2 that I believe are pretty decent for the beginning. And that would be Brain Pan, which I believe is 1,000 Needles. Am I right?
Yep, that is Blowfish. Blowfish.
Yeah. And Box Set, which is Meteor?
Box Set should be Bolt 3.
Bolt 3, okay. Yep, again, not great.
Let me look that up. Meteor or Meteo? I can't remember.
Okay, yeah.
One of the boxes does Bolt 3, the little box things, I think.
Yeah. Either way, both of those can be very useful early game. Especially Blowfish. Just a quickie 1,000 damage is no joke. And looks like we're down in the basement for Velvet X. Also, Velvet did not go to Gao's dad's house. A surprising move, if you ask me. I've always been one to kind of truck those free checks. Where do you stand on that? Do you like to really overload on the free checks? Do you have a limit that you like to stop at?
I think it's just a routing choice. He'll make his way back over there eventually. Looks like he's saving here, so he may have. Save averted. Nope, he's going back. He's going back. So maybe he's going to take out the Moogle Charm down here in the basement and try to get some early levels.
I think with the skills that he has, it should be fine. But we'll see how it goes and what fights he comes up on.
Yeah, we see Gretham making his way. Ooh, that's a Strength +2 Esper from Celis with Ice 3. That should sit on Celis the rest of the game. and get that weapon nice and loaded up for her with that offering.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, be blasting Ice 3. Not much else going on in the basement there, but I see that Gretham is not far behind. Now, I am notorious for skipping the basement and getting just ruined because of it. I try to only go here if I feel like I need the extra loot, but if I feel ready, I don't come down here. And for some reason, I tend to pay for it most of the time. Are you more of a basement every time guy, or are you also kind of feeling it out?
It really, really, really depends. So with these, we have fantastic abilities, but keep in mind too, this is the Moogle Cup, so we may have some newer players. And I worked with Gretham last night, and I would advise to a expiring player that you never skip the basement until you can start, you know, knowing what Super Balls does, knowing, and there's flags that you can find rods for 2,000 GP a piece,
Ooh.
save for the Pearl Rod, so you can come across offense in a lot of ways. I would advise a expiring player to not do something like that, skipping this basement until they are more comfortable with being able to highlight things in the flag set like rods or super balls, or all the outstanding abilities, the S tier abilities, the A tier abilities, and being able to kind of cherry pick, know which ones are better than the others. Once you have that down, that's when you can kind of start trying to fade the basement. Just because you need the loot for the money. If you don't know what the abilities can do, you're a little more dependent on items and weapons, and then you need money to buy those, or you need to find them in chests. So once you're more seasoned, you can start doing plays like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've been kind of fading it out, and I seem to get burned more often than not, missing some really high dollar items that would really propel my game. But I know that's just kind of me sitting here thinking like, the couple times it's burned me is what's really sitting in my brain, like those races I lost or the time I lost because I missed that one chest. But, I think it's a good, over time, I think it makes sense to be able to skip that. And you had mentioned, rods being 2,000 GP in this. That's not how it is in the Ultra Sleek. In UL6, they are usually anywhere from like 11 to 15,000 G. So being able to get them for 2,000 is absolutely huge in the Moogle Cup here. It looks like we got both of them going and equipping. Might be ready to start their grind fights.
We have a flag called Expensive Rods, which bumps up the price of the elemental rods that you find in the World of Balance, the Masa, in the vanilla game, and which are so key to just about any speedrun of Final Fantasy VI. But in Ultras League and various other flag sets, they will be bumped up to the expensive cost, and that puts them in that bulk break that Physics mentioned. Ooh, I think I saw a Fire 3 on Velvet X's screen there, and then he highlights the Bullfish. That's a good one to call out by Schwantz.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, we got a World of Ruin Zozo. So it looks like with those Super Balls that they found, they are going straight for the early dragon, is what this appears to be. When you have Super Balls, it really allows you to truck dragons early, especially at a fairly low scaling. Although, it looks like we are scaled up twice currently. Well, technically 5 times with 4 characters and an Esper. So all enemies are going to be level 10, including the dragons. And, well, actually, is the scaling a little different in Moogle Cup, or is it still 2?
It's 2 for bosses, levels, and HP, MP, and whatnot, but we do give 2.5 experience for characters, Espers, and Dragons for the experience they give, so you get a little more experience than normal. And Super Balls are so fantastic when you find them before you ever start a check, really because one thing we could do if we had 5 or 6 Super Balls is we could go to Floating Continent. We just use our abilities and whatever to get through the grind fights, and then whenever we come across the bosses, that's when we bust out the Super Balls. Just because, as we'll see on Velvet X's screen here, we're level 3, we haven't taken a fight yet. It doesn't matter, because as long as it hits the head on Welk, it's going to do a respectable amount of damage.
Yeah, but that counter hitting the shell is probably going to take her out.
Hurt a little bit.
It's not too bad. As long as he doesn't do an area effect, it's perfectly fine. That's going to be the same deal over on Gretham's side. He's going to be going for a dragon, and they have a penchant for doing area effect attacks. So ideally, he gets those Super Balls off as quickly as possible and kills that dragon before, it does an area effect blast on him. So we'll see how it goes.
So there's a lot of schools of thoughts with the Super Balls is that you go to a Dragon first because you get the high tier item for the drop, and then they're at as long as the scaling isn't above about 20, you can actually solo shot, one shot most of the dragons with the Super Ball until you get to about that range. So that's why they're a popular play. We got a low roll on Grethen's screen there for 1500, but
But at
really if we just
least
get
it's this
another,
dragon. This
yeah,
dragon is one of the best ones you could possibly get at this point.
yeah, 100%. Blue dragon unfortunately is just gonna wipe you. Carcass is Bolt 3. That's at the bottom of Grethen's rage screen there. Let's see if he finds that.
And it looks like,
Lured in.
unfortunately, Velvet X got taken out by Welk there. Must have gotten area affected. So he has reset out to go elsewhere. I guess those Super Balls did not work out in his favor there. Straight to Doma Dream. That's a bold move as well.
Yeah. So we know where Welk is. There are some bosses that Super Balls aren't as effective against, such as Welk. Even worse so when you have Hydon or the tentacles, just because there's so many targets on screen, and then they kind of get the damage gets bounced around and doesn't hit everything because it's random. That's really unfortunate when you push scaling all the way up, and then you run into something like that with your Super Balls, just because normally tentacles aren't very scary. But then they'll not be able to capitalize with the Super Ball. It's just an unfortunate situation. So there are some scenarios where the Super Ball play does backfire. Yeah.
Definitely. One thing I see over in Velvet X's side, which I think is just an excellent thing to keep in mind when you're doing these multi-checks that you can't escape from, always try and use a separate save file when you are in checks like this so you don't get trapped, because you can get soft locked. So I did see that Velvet X did use a separate save slot there to avoid that in case this first boss is just an absolute disaster. And he has to get out, because this one you cannot escape from once you're in it.
Nope, you gotta finish it to leave it.
And Gretham nabbed himself an experience egg off of that dragon fight.
That is huge with that Atmo weapon. So, yeah, he's going to be cooking with gas pretty quickly. And Senor Behemoth showing up on Velvet X's side, and Stray Materia over on Gretham's side. Now, Senor Behemoth here can be a little spicy as well. He is instant deathable, but I don't think this early we have any instant death spells, unless one of the rages is instant death. Unfortunately, that is just not my specialty. Luridin is huge. That is a really good rage as well, which he's going to use. That's one of my favorites, Landslide. It's fast, it's damaging. It's just a really, really good rage overall.
It's damaging when anybody but Cyan uses it.
Yeah, that probably like 20 magic power he's got isn't really throwing too much. Looks like he's onto the undead portion of the Behemoth here.
Ooh, is he gonna be able to level 5 Doom?
Ooh, what do we got? We have 5. Yeah, he can. They're level 10 right now. If he had used it, he would have been dead. But that's all right. I think he'll go down anyway. Oh, go ahead.
So great heads up play there. I guess Schwantz called it out to Velvet X, is that we do have undead bosses turned on, so you can't Phoenix down your undead bosses.
Ah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's something you definitely cannot do in Ultras League.
Nope, it makes stuff a little too easy, but it also helps an expiring player or growing player learn what's undead and what's not by being able to use a little more stuff to take them down.
Yeah, absolutely. And, even without that Phoenix down, you still have the ability to instant death most of them if you have one, X-Zone or Doom.
Yeah, Golden Shocker making a great point there is that while our scaling is at level 10, there is a random invisible number that you don't have access to that kind of manipulates the boss's level, plus or minus of handfuls, so that way you can't manipulate level 5 Doom, level 3 Flare, and some other glitches in the game to kind of dictate outcomes.
Gotcha. I actually didn't know about that, but that's really good information to know, that just because you know how many checks you have increasing scaling, it doesn't exactly equal a ×2 modifier on everything. And looks like Gretham is at Doma Siege.
Yeah, he's gonna run into his Welk fight. We got Yamaro on the train, so we're gonna be at 5 characters here pretty fast.
Yeah, rapid fire. And I think he'll be a lot more prepared for the Welk. And I see also that Gretham is going for the experience egg on Celis.
Yep.
Rightly so. Rightly so. I didn't see if he has
1,000.
that +2 Esper on her, but I'm sure he does.
We could see, based on what Celeste's stats started with, we could see her reach the point where he needs to take the Esper off of her because she'll get to a. If she started with a decent amount of strength or a high roll on her strength stat, she could easily hit the max by around level 40-ish.
Yeah, and the max is for Vigor in this game is 128. If you pass that, it does absolutely nothing. So you don't want to go
Well, it looks
over.
cool. It looks cool on the screen when you pull up 200 vigor.
It absolutely does. I mean, if you want to flex, get flexing. It's a fantastic feeling to have that much. But in terms of functionality, 126 or 128 is your cap on that. So at that point, any other strength would be wasted. You want to pass it on to another character, maybe with another big weapon or shooting some throwing some shurikens or weapons out. One thing I learned pretty early about Welk, if you're not super well equipped yet, just throwing lightning at him is fantastic because even if he goes into his shell, his shell will absorb it and he won't counterattack you, which can be big for a low scaling, an early game situation where he might still be slightly threatening. Velvet X finishing up Dome of Dream with a Kefka fight with a Yeti for a reward. So I think he should have no issues here taking out Kefka and moving right along.
None at all. And remember, we do have that sword tech Cyan, and for completing Dome of Dream, we do get access to all of the sword techs. So that's
massive.
another fantastic strength build right there with his Shadow online having access to sword tech 7.
Yeah, and Shadow tends to be pretty versatile no matter what, so you usually end up with a pretty decent vigor, pretty decent magic stat on him, so, he could pretty much utilize just about anything in the Sword Tech toolkit and make really good use of it. If you want to do magic power, go on in for Sword Tech 6 and just stunner things to death, no problem.
Yeah, Shadow is kind of like Cyan in that they have bad equipment pools, but the good thing about Shadow is Shadow has fantastic stats, whereas Cyan stats, quote-unquote, suck. So Shadow a little more useful than Cyan when you find the better abilities on, as we're seeing with Cyan doing, Lured and Rage and barely tickling monsters, whereas we're going to be salivating what Shadow can do later on in the seed.
100%. There's a quote I've heard quite a few times about Cyan, and that's that you can't spell Cyan without see ya. And that's usually how it works out for me, unless he's got something really good. Like a throw Cyan with high vigor is fantastic. You can't really go wrong, but every once in a while you get really lucky and he's throwing down a Ragnarok and Illumina and Atma, something like that. But the base equipment pool does make him usually a pretty poor choice without really, really good skills. It looks like Gretham went straight to Dome of Dream as well, so chasing at the heels of Velvet X here in terms of going to Dome of Dream.
A little hesitation there, rightfully so, on that Ice 3 because similar Sriracha Behemoth, he does absorb Ice, so Ice 3 is not what we want to cast here.
Absolutely not. And that's one big thing about learning, I'd say, just about any role-playing randomizer. I started doing a little bit of Chrono Trigger, and it was very similar there as here. Learning boss mechanics, what they do, what their sort of script is, and especially what they're weak to or strong against is huge for getting your times, to quicken up your times. And Pearl is a fantastic option against Behemoth, as well as Fire, if I believe. Is that right?
Fire and Pearl is what he's weak to, and then as we saw highlight earlier, the second half of the Senior Behemoth fight is instant deathable. So let's see if Gretham calls that out as well with his Phoenix down play.
Definitely, and there are a few bosses that are instant deathable, so that's another thing. Boss knowledge is really big in this. So Senor Behemoth, he can be taken out. His second phase can be taken out with instant death spells. You got Narapa. He can be taken out with area effects, death spells, Ghost Train. So there's a few different options for instant deathing. Even if you can't use the Phoenix down method on undead, such as on the train or on the second phase of Behemoth, you can still instant death them when you're playing Ultros League flags. And this Behemoth is being pretty spicy. But he's down, and the second phase tends to be a little bit less spicy.
So it looks like on Velvet X's screen we got a Magic Power +1 Esper. Looks like he's abandoning the Strength Esper on his Celeste, and he's putting on his Mog. Maybe Mog can wear something I'm missing.
Maybe. I wonder if he can use the Atma weapon. I guess with Celis having Ice 3 right now, maybe that's what he's looking at.
Yeah.
Is continuing to just blast that Ice 3 for the early game.
There is a fine line. There is some concepts called early game, mid game, and then late game. It doesn't do you much good to save an amazing character for the late game if you're never able to get through the mid game efficiently. So that may be what that may just be a decision that we're making here. No point in having a god tier character an hour from now if I never make it to an hour or not from now.
That's very true. And as you mentioned, Gretham did utilize a Revivify that time to take care of him, which works just the same as the Phoenix down, and down goes the Behemoth. Velvet X, we have a couple of cranes. I like to remember this as left loves lightning, so triple L. So don't use lightning on the left, use it on the right, and you can go ahead and blast fire on the left if you want to, or ice. Just no lightning on the left. If you get that, you're generally okay. Otherwise, just use non-elemental if you're not 100% sure. But they power up if they use their respective elements of lightning and fire on the wrong ones. Lightning on the left, fire on the right, they'll power up.
Physically, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
If you could ask Velvet X's mentor right now any one question in the world, what would it be?
That is a fantastic question. You put me on the spot with that one.
I'm about to put you on the spot again because we are joined now by DSchwantz27, so Physics can ask him that hard-hitting question he was just thinking of.
You're a cruel person, Glue.
I know I am. I'm a jerk. I mean, that's the best opening line I've ever heard of in my life. Yeah.
Well, I'm a cruel person to Glue, but if you're gonna own up to it, I'm not gonna argue with you.
No, you should ask my mentees how they feel about me. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I've already know. They've reached out in private.
They've complained in private, of course.
I don't know. I've heard very different tales, but maybe they're just afraid of me. I don't know.
Yes. Oh, we're getting a dragon here. Nice.
I did want to call out. That was a great heads-up play, knowing that the undead boss flag was turned off, so you could Phoenix down the second half senior Behemoth. Did you call that out, or did Velvet X know that?
I asked him what are the whenever a boss fight pops up on screen, my question is, what is this boss weakness? And he got it right in the first time, and the second one he said instant death. I'm like, well, what does that mean in the Moogle Cup flags? And he goes, oh, and then just threw a Phoenix down at it. So yeah, it's a little bit of, I asked a leading question, we'll say that. Sometimes I ask questions that do have answers, and sometimes I ask questions that don't have answers. And that one was definitely a leading question.
Beautiful. Well played.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you find is like the most important part about teaching your Moogle? What comes up the most, do you think? To help.
So what I usually do is I first introduced and asked, hey, where do you think you could use some help in your game? And both of my, I'm mentoring two different Moogles, and both of them are having some issues, I guess you would say, with the final Kefka fight, because in Worlds Collide, it mostly is how best can I DPS down this boss in front of me? And it's all gas, no brakes, right? It's just, let's step on the gas and not exactly all that difficult. Let's be fair. But with the final Kefka fight, sometimes you have to step on the gas, sometimes you have to pump the brakes, and that's sort of where runners can have a hard time, is knowing, where do I step on the gas? Where do I step on the brakes? Because otherwise you have a bunch of attacks queued up, and then all of a sudden the fight is gone to what, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the first things that Blue taught me, actually. Was everybody has to go through the Kefka gauntlet. How best can you do it? That can save.
This is another character.
Itself,
Ooh.
Yeah. So we knew where Realm was. So we basically, when he got Umaro in Cyan's Dream, we basically said, oh, he's resetting there. Okay, that's fine too. We know that Locke is there.
Yeah, he'll be there for later if we want him.
Yeah, and we're gonna go fight a dragon and learn some more. Oh no, we already fought the dragon.
Yeah, fought the dragon. Interesting idea, not going for Locke there while being in World of Ruin Narsh.
Yeah. we know where our 6th character is, right? So we don't necessarily need another character. Let's go to checks that we could either peak or our Esper item rewards. That was sort of what we discussed. One of the other things that mentees have asked me about is routing. How do you route? And there's many different philosophies behind what checks you go to next. For me, I do it based on the attributes of the check. What is it going to give me, and what do I need? How long is it going to take me to do this? Is there a boss at the end or not? Those sort of questions. Some people ask themselves, what's the fastest check? I'm going to go do that next. Other people, my other mentee, he comes from like the Link to the Past randomizer community. So in that game, it's where's my check density? Where are the things I can go find the most? So he tends to gravitate towards like, hey, if I have Mog and Terra, I'm going to do all of Narsh right now. Or I'm at spot X on the map. Spot Y is the closest thing to me. I'm going to go do that next. So there really isn't a right answer. It's just more of telling your mentees, right, what is your philosophy, and being able to help them understand the decisions behind why you choose to do this thing or that thing.
Absolutely. And that's a question I have a lot as well. I've been asking recently about routing changes, and I mean, I'm 150 seeds deep. I'm still asking questions about ideal routing. What is the trick? And everybody will give you a different answer.
Yeah. For sure.
Every runner has their own preference of where they're going and when they're going and why they're going there.
Yep. And then the last thing I think was what to do in the beginning of the game. So how I approach with my mentees is I say, all right, think of 2 or 3 spots that you always go, and go to those spots while you try and figure out what your game plan is, right? Have like turn my brain off and just go to the chests and the shops here, and let's figure out what we're doing. So in this seed, we saw that we had Natural Magic Lore Mog, we had Celeste with Blitz, and we had Shadow with Sword Tech. So I asked, okay, what are we doing with these 3 characters, now, and what are we going to do with them at the end of the game? And Celeste and Mog both had magic-based abilities, so we put on our shopping list, we need to find earrings and stuff that boosts magic power. Shadow has Sword Tech, right? That's mostly based off of the fight command, not the fight command, the physical build damage. So, let's go find stuff like Atlas Armlets and Hyper Wrists. And we also have Mog. So Mog, since he can naturally equip lances, let's go look in relic shops for boots and horns, and let's hope we come across that. And then, obviously, when we pick things out of chests, these builds may change, right? We found the Thunder Shield, so I asked him, we have Mog, what's his lore list looks like? It's garbage. Does he need to learn Bolt 2 to actually do anything? Can Celeste use Aura Bolt? Stuff like that. And you sort of go based on your routing, and have a goal in mind when you are about to take your first check. And for us, since we found Super Balls in the shop, we talked about, do we even need to do grind fights? And the answer is no, go take a check. So we did Doma Siege at first, and that was Welk, which obviously didn't go so well.
Those Super Balls were not playing nice with you.
Yeah, so that's when we turned around and said, well, we have Sword Tech on Shadow. Let's go get his Sword Tech upgraded as soon as possible. So then that was the pivot. The pivot was also going to be to a dragon, but we decided to go grab a boss right away. So
yeah, that does make sense. Question, I see Velvet just killed the dragon over in World of Ruin Zozo, which would reward him with an experience egg.
Oh, nice.
So, Glue and I are thinking that's going straight on Celis plus Strength Esper, Atma Weapon, bam, offering finished, How do you think that'll influence Velvet's choices here?
Yeah, so not only does Celeste have the Atma Weapon and Experience Egg, but she also has Blitz. So we could potentially unlock Bum Rush. I will ask him if he thinks it's worth the 1 minute long cutscene to get it or not. If Celeste is already going to be using the Atma Weapon and we're going to go back and buy that offering, do we need to unlock Bum Rush or not? My opinion would be no, we don't have to. We already have a build for Celeste, but you never know. So
yeah, I did see he switched off the Strength Esper to a Magic Esper recently, so I think he has some other plans for Celis currently.
Yep, and you guys are are making it so that I can't. I don't know the answers to these questions until I until I talk to him, right? But
Oh,
we
absolutely.
sort of went over, once we found our 6 characters, how does that reprioritize where we're going, right? So we then took floating continent off the list. We're not going to floating continent. That is a last location. It's just not happening. Magitech Factory, right? The first 2 checks can be Esper items, so let's go here first. Opera House is also now off the list, right? Because we can't peek that, and it's very long. So, having sort of this, ignoring a bunch of whole checks makes it easier to figure out where am I going next. So,
Absolutely.
Well, I guess on that note, now that Velvet's about to enter a whole new world in the Magic Factory, we're gonna let you go and get back in there with them.
all right, thank you guys so much.
You bet. Take care.
Bye bye.
I do see in chat we have Nemo76 mentioning that Velvet is not equipping the Atmo weapon for some reason. If I had to guess, it's simply levels. When it comes to using the Atmo weapon, levels are king. So the higher level you are, the more damage it does, and the amount of benefit you get for equipping it too early can be really middling to go with that early on. What are your thoughts on that, Glue? Do you have a certain level threshold you're looking for before throwing that Atmo weapon on there?
The Atmo weapon really starts to come online at level 32. You can equip it a little bit before that. I think Velvet X is like in the mid 20s, so we're about to that point. Keep in mind too that if you were going to swing at this point in time, you have to front row your character for it to be fully effective. So we're in that neighborhood where it's we're level 27, so we're close. It wouldn't be out of line to put it here. He also wouldn't be out of line to wait. But if by level 35 it's not online, that's a mistake in my opinion.
And speaking of front row weapons,
Oh yeah.
Magitech 1 just pulled a Ragnarok, which is wonderful, especially again with that +2 strength Esper. So if we can get someone using the Atmo offering and someone using the... Oh, Cyan can use the Ragnarok. That is huge.
About time
loves
Cyan's
his
able to do
vigor.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, Cyan is going to be hitting like a truck. So that
Well,
is fantastic.
maybe a small truck, but a truck nonetheless.
Yeah, I guess it depends on if he's going to be sitting on that plus strength Esper or not.
I
And
think
we
he
have
put it on him.
Kefka.
Plus, he's giving him the experience egg. That's a risky
He
investment
is.
in my opinion, but
Yeah.
there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Definitely. As for Gretham, he went for the Mog check. So he ran up to do Lone Wolf and found himself a Gao. And while he was up there, he's going to go ahead and do Kefka at Narsh. And see what he gets here. And then we'll see if he wants to do Moogle defense after that or not. I'm one of the types that kind of just... I'll if I have all the characters for World of Balance Narsh, I will truck through all of it at one time. I'll do... I want to do Welk. I would love to be able to do back of Welk if I've already gotten Lock, and then just knock out every one of the Mog checks back to back, just to get it out of the way. But I guess that does depend on if I am searching for a specific item or if I'm still kind of open. In this case, I guess with needing 5 more Espers, I might steer away from it and do more peekables instead if possible.
It's really iffy. I probably would skip it just because I really want to find 5 more Espers and not much else going about my business. Just because the skip really isn't attainable in Moogle Cup. And the reason for that is because we kind of want our Moogles to go into the tower, but also have a skip available so they're cognizant of it. But walking the tower is important because in the vanilla game, this tower is the scariest part of the game, so you're not super familiar with it. You kind of want to get in there, get through there as fast as you can. Whereas in Worlds Collide, you're walking around with Moogle charms to everybody, so it's not really, there's no danger involved, so you may not be familiar with all the layout and go through it quickly. So we did want to try to force the Moogles to learn how to walk the tower, and the only way they do that is to send them into it.
Absolutely. I'm seeing on Velvet's side that his party is absolutely slamming.
Oh yeah.
He's got Shadow throwing down 6,000 damage stunners. He's got Ice 3 almost at quad 9s. So he's definitely he's running now. So he's just got to find the last character and the rest of his Espers, but he's good to go. Kefka at Narsh went down. I did miss what was dropped there, however.
That was a
It was
Ragnarok.
another Ragnarok.
Ah, I see. Well, this seed is not short on power. We could say that much. And that is sort of part of the Moogle Cup, is that the types of items that you can get, they're more common. So you have more accessibility with a lot of different builds for each seed. So you can kind of get a feel for everything and how it works for once you get into the, the full Ultras League seeds flag sets.
Yeah, I would say Atma weapon is the most broken thing in the game. Second to that, in my list of things I'd want to have is Merton online. But one of the things, the Moogle Cup, you can't really develop those opinions until you've kind of played with everything before. So that's why you'll come access to Ragnarok's Valiant Knives and have more of the better stuff in the equipment pool for dead checks. So that way you kind of can grasp the power of everything and learn what it can or can't do and its uses.
Definitely. I love Atma weapon, but I love Valiant Knife more. What are your opinions on why you prefer Atma weapon over Valiant Knife?
Valiant Knife early, Atma weapon later. But if I'm in this fantasy world where I'm picking what I want, I just want to have two Illuminas and a Genji Club. I'll figure out the rest later.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, I'm not picking the armor. I'll just take a behemoth suit and a red cap. The rest of it doesn't matter.
Most certainly.
We are seeing him jump down straight into the mines.
Yeah.
I don't see his full tracker, so he may just have, I know we still have Magitech for Gretham. But that's only 2 Espers, and then we would still need some way somehow to come across 3 more. So maybe the rest of the checks are not that desirable right now. So that's why we go ahead and do this while we're here.
Yeah, definitely. And we're not actually sure there's going to be... Well, I guess it could be a character or an Esper here at Magitech. It is guaranteed progression. So I guess that makes sense why Velvet is coming here. He knows where Locke is if this isn't a character and he needs to go back there later. But if it's a character, he won't go over the 6.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, spicy chicken.
Ultra guys. I think he'll be just fine, but this is one of the spicier bosses. I use that term on purpose. Most people call him the spicy chicken. He has a pretty rude move set that can really put a damper on your progression if you sort of run into him when you're unprepared.
Great heads up play here by Gretham. Poltergeist is susceptible to stop, and Sword Tech 6 Stunner does inflict stop periodically. Terror for Velvet X at the end of Jitech Factory.
I believe his other weakness, oddly enough, you would think as Spicy Chicken, a big, red, fiery, chicken-looking thing, that maybe ice would be his weakness, but if I am not mistaken, it is indeed bio. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. He is weak to poison, Azor's fire, and has very, very high magic defense plus auto shell.
Yeah, the other one that's very strange would be Fun Baba, the gigantic green ogre who skips leg day. Also hates bio. You would think that he would probably absorb bio. Absolutely not. He is weak to it.
We have a red alert on Velvet X's screen. That is Magimaster. So let's see how he will tackle this.
Yeah, Magimaster is a fun one. Once you start dealing damage to him, he will start changing his shield around. And that shield will change to where he is weak to one thing, and he absorbs one thing, and he nullifies everything else. The main way to get around that is either to berserk him, which causes him to do nothing but attack you, but you have to do it before anybody else attacks him, and he doesn't put his shield up, and then he's just a punching bag. Or a lot of non-elemental spells.
We do have access to a handful of non-elemental abilities with Shadow, with Sword Tech 6 and 7. But looks like Magimaster doesn't care. He's taking everybody down in an efficient way, too.
He is prone to doing that. He has extremely high magic. He is able to double cast at times, and a lot of his spells are area effect. So if you don't get him down quickly or get him shut down with Berserk, he can really tear you up very quickly. So many Worlds Collide players they live in almost constant fear of Magimaster if you don't have Berserk or some way to dish out tremendous amounts of non-elemental damage. And this isn't looking too great for Velvet currently.
So, this is probably a situation where Velvet may want to wipe because Celeste isn't going to be able to stay alive long enough unless he only does Bolt spells, as you can see. No life too, so she has to essentially Phoenix down and hope. There he goes. He got the memo. So Velvet X doesn't have access to Berserk, but he does have access to Reflect on one of his characters. What Magic Master will do when he has Reflect cast on him is he will start casting spells on himself. In the vanilla game, that's pertinent because he only casts Ice 3, Fire 3, and Bolt 3, so those will bounce back onto you. But in Worlds Collide, his abilities are scaled and a little more diverse. So he can cast things like Blizzard, he can cast things like Mega Bolt, he can cast things like Flare Star. And if you don't damage him and force a element shift, he will damage himself with those blizzards, with those Flare Stars, and etc. So that is one way you can work it around. Is you cast Reflect on him, you have him start targeting himself, and you just sit there safely, save for the single target spells that bounce back at you.
Definitely. And unfortunately, on Velvet's side, he did not opt to take the a safety save before he got to the last fight of Magitech Factory, so he is going to have to go through the railway section again. We've all been through that before. It's very unfortunate when Magic Master shows up in a spot like that and you're ready to start coasting. I know that we've been talking a lot about the Moogle Cup, so I'm just gonna quickly go over a little bit. It's just the first couple paragraphs off of the sign-up sheet for those who may be tuning in and are unsure exactly what is going on here. The Moogle Cup is an ongoing series of mini tournaments where we pair new or learning racers with mentors from the community to provide coaching and guidance. In this case, we have Velvet X with the one and only The Shawance 27, as well as Gretham with numbers JS. In the Moogle Cup, you'll engage in some friendly competition with your friendly Moogles, all of whom will have some of the game's best racers riding shotgun to help everyone be the best Moogle they can possibly be. So, Glue can pop the link in there if anybody is interested in doing so. And signing up, we just opened up signups again. So once we get another 16 and this one wraps up, we'll be able to start another one. So if
You
you're
had me ill
interested in
prepared.
learning,
You had me ill prepared. I don't have the sign up form handy, but let me go grab it.
I didn't have you unprepared. I told you.
All right, let me get back to the chat. Sign up forms incoming.
All right. Well, they're on the way, but if you are interested in learning Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, this is the way to do so. If you are brand new and have never played a seed before in your life, or if you're in Tonic or even Potion in Ultras League and you just want to up your game and you feel like you're just not quite where you want to be, sign up. We'll be more than happy to help you out. And as a sort of segue to that, if you feel like you might not be quite at the level of Moogle Cup, you might be a little more advanced, we 100% have a mentorship program that you can sign up for. It's in our Discord. You just sign up for it, and some of our high-level characters will reach out to you and help you out however you want. Answer questions for you, do VOD reviews. They'll even help you, they'll sit in backseat a run for you and kind of help you think about the routing you need to do or some tactics that you might not have thought of. So if you're interested in that, there are options for you as well.
Did you just call us high-level characters?
I might have said high-level characters, you're right. It's amazing what happens when you're watching 2 streams, checking trackers, reading your notes, and also speaking.
Hey, we're people. We're real-life people.
Yes, we are. Yes, apparently you are NPCs in Final Fantasy VI. You are so renowned now, you have become NPCs of Final Fantasy VI. Congratulations. Enjoy your promotion. So we're getting ready to have a rematch. Velvet X going on for Magic Master and Gretham fighting a Tritok. Tritok hates fire. Otherwise, you need to only use non-elemental things. Or defense ignoring things like Atma Weapon, VK, any sword text. Any sword texts, or is it just sword text 7?
So Sword Tech 4 does not ignore defense, and Tritok has stupid high defense. So if you do bust out of Sword Tech 4, all you can do is tickle Tritok. But Sword Tech 6, 7, and Sword Tech 1 are fantastic options.
I thought so. He is a high-level character, Golden Shocker. I agree with you. All right, so let's see how Magic Master 2.0 goes here. Okay, so he's going with Life 3 strats. Now, one way that a lot of us would probably deal with Magic Master, at least early, is to hit him as hard as humanly possible for the very first attack. And for me, that usually means whatever shield I have, no matter how much I need it, needs to be thrown in his face. If I have to do as much damage as possible, as quickly as possible, you start with that because he's not immune or absorbing anything yet. So you crack an ice shield, ignore all of his magical defense, and just smash 9,000 damage into his face. Then he'll switch onto his shield and you start doing your non-elementals. Which I see that Celis is trying to cast Ultima, but she might get it off in time. She is. And Magimaster is being Magimaster currently. He's being very aggressive with a lot of double cast AoE spells, which is just devastating. But he has done a lot of damage, so let's see if... he got him. There we go. Landslide for the win from Cyan.
Oh, is he?
We might make fun of him a lot, but you know what? He came through that time with his landslide. Took out Magimaster. Now Gretham is on the way, the same place, so he'll be running into that fun little roadblock here in a little bit as well.
Very, very well done there by Velvet X to take the rematch.
Definitely. And I see that he's going for the free heal here at the Narsh Battle Academy. Always a good idea to keep that in the back of your mind to save you a little bit of menu time. Instead of using a tent or using some rather expensive sleeping bags, you just pop into there and get your free heal and move on about your business, as Glue would say.
You got to keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.
So let's see if I think Gretham will be better prepared if he decides to complete all of Magitech, but I think he's just here for the 2 Esper check, and then he's going to get out of here because he does have a number of other checks, especially with his Gao now.
That would be my move, absolutely. I rarely come here for the whole thing unless I have a Magitech that I want to get unlocked. But at this point, with only 3 Espers needed, the 2 check would be great. He'll get a Ragnarok and an Esper out of it, so not too bad, all things considered.
All right, so we're kind of at a pivotal point here. I think both of our runners have the requisite stuff to clear through Kefka pretty comfortably, and the various challenges the tower will present. I think we're down to just some routing choices. Who's going to make the correct decisions, or who will make effective decisions in a timely manner to get the last piece of requirements so they can get into the tower before they each other and power through everything. Because while we've encountered different bosses at various points at our various stops, when we enter Kefka's tower, we will be fighting everything the exact same thing as our opponent will, in the exact same order. So that's really, we're kind of cooking with the same gas. We both have the requisite stuff to get through it. It's just who's going to get there first.
Absolutely, and they're both pretty equal in terms of the amounts of checks that they have going on here. One thing I am seeing is our armor is looking pretty sparse. So that's something that they'll have to keep in mind, especially in certain phases of Kefka.
I'm going to interject a little bit there. You don't need armor. If you have S-tier offense, you already have S-tier armor as well, because you'll kill stuff fast enough in a timely manner. And then if you kill stuff quickly,
I would agree with you,
it
but
can't
as
hurt
you
you.
mentioned before,
The best defense is good offense.
We do got a couple Moogles here, so especially when it comes to the Kefka climb, having low defense can definitely raise the bar of execution, especially on certain phases where it's a lot of physical damage. Tier 1, and then when you have to deal with 10 hits off Tier 2, it can get real spicy if you're not adequately prepared, But who knows? They might come across some armor. I know they have a snow muffler ready to go, so that'll help, whoever has that on. That basically just turns them into a giant chunk of adamantium.
Let's see what Gretham's going to do here. Is he going to warp out? Looks like he's warped for the warp stone. Yep, he's going to warp on out.
I think that's a good choice.
We still have, I think, Zen Thief. No, I'm mistaken. Gretham did Zen Thief because he saw Experience Egg in the Relic Shop in Zen while Schwantz was with us. Velvet X is going to do some Moogle stuff now, along with his Welk. So he's going to get access to another character, plus an Esper for his trip up here. Or excuse me, another character plus a Ragnarok for his trip up here.
Question is, do you think he's going to... I wonder if he'll even take Gao. I'm not sure what the item was, but he's going to see Gao and then whatever item the Lone Wolf has. I wonder if he just lets Gao drop. He's not the most desirable checks at this point in the game. Not many people appreciate a late Velt check.
That gal did have Magitech, and Velvet has already done all of Magitech, so that gal would have Tech Missile already. I don't think it's worth it to switch him out at this point, but it's an option. I wouldn't say it's out of line if he were to do so.
He wouldn't know that though, so that's the spicy thing. He's just gonna see Gao there, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, I have 6 characters." But I guess if the if the item isn't particularly desirable, then you might as well just take them and maybe you go do trench or something. But probably not. I think if it were me, probably if anything is even slightly useful, I probably would let Gao drop in this particular situation, not knowing that he has Magitech, because Gao with Magitech's pretty spicy. With his oddly high magic stat.
Gao has high on every stat, but
he does.
He just have an attack ability, so you would never know he has such high vigor.
Yeah. Looks like Gretham is going over to the Velt Cave, and he's going to find a lovely dead check. Is he going to complete it? Looks like he's... Oh, I might be lagging a bit.
No, that's both of us.
Okay.
The suspense is killing me. No, he's going to reset out of it. That's all right.
He is resetting out. Okay, good. Yeah, having a little hiccups here on Discord. Apologies. But I see Gretham is taking off out of there. I think that is absolutely the right move. Like Glue said, I believe they have the power to take Kefka right now, and really it's just who's going to find their unlock prerequisites first and just get flying into that tower.
So I think Gretham will probably do all of the Narshir, and I think he would take his lock when he gets up there, just because, one, that's going to let him walk down, get another Esper out of the Wall to Ruin weapon shot possibly, and 2, we're flirting with 22 checks along with 9 characters, and that would get us Kefka's Tower skip, because we need any 2 of 9 characters, 12 Espers, and 22 checks.
Definitely. Over on Velvet's side, I see that he did what I thought. That was a Minerva, and he saw a Gao and just let him fall. That's probably exactly what I would do in that situation, especially because I mentioned that the armor was looking a little bit sparse, and Minervas are amazing. Just being immune to magic damage is pretty great. Elemental damage, anyway.
So we're crossing the 55-minute mark here any moment, and we're still in search of just a handful of Espers. Velvet X maybe could be coming down to where Floating Continent, it's either getting to the point where he has to do Floating Continent, or he's got to do some of the less desirable terror checks, like Zozo, or Elite River, or heaven forbid the Opera House from Celeste.
Yeah, definitely. And he's only going to find a Ragnarok here, which that's not ideal for what he's looking for. Now the question is, he's going to go to Yeti, but Gretham is going to go to Yeti. He's going to find another character there. Mm-hmm. So he's not going to have much, but he will have Locke. So he'll probably take him, and we got a couple fast checks with Locke. We got the weapon shop, and we also can quickly go do tunnel armor. So those can be some pretty rapid checks to get those last 2 Espers he needs.
Yeah, as long as Tunnel Armor isn't dead, if Tunnel Armor is a character that gives us the skip range, plus whoever that character is, it gives us access to their checks as well. So if that's Edgar, if it's really anybody but Gogo or Strago, that gives us access to a handful of checks, and some of which are quicker than others.
Yeah, definitely.
And even to some extent, Strago, just because he would give us access to Fnatic's tower, and then we can beat that and make that last decision for that last Vesper. Plus doing 3 checks in one spot, which may push us towards the skip.
Absolutely, and skip is huge. It saves a tremendous amount of time. I know you mentioned that we'd rather the Moogles be running up the tower, but sometimes being able to experience the joy of a skip is really fantastic.
Definitely. I'm in the boat of, you can either spend 5 minutes walking on screen, or you can spend 5 minutes maybe doing 2 more checks, taking down 2 more dragons, or a dragon and another check that gives you experience, plus possibly another item or something of value. You just kind of have to get to 17, 18, 19 first some way, somehow, and just turn your bad luck into something that saves you time later on.
Absolutely. I see in chat here, Golden Shocker answered it for us, but we do need 2 of either 9 characters, 12 espers, 22 checks for a skip. So you need to get 2 of those in order to unlock it. While the Ultros League flags are actually only 1 of those. If you get 9 characters, you get 12 espers, or you get 22 checks, you get the skip. So it's a little more prevalent in the Ultros League flags. And Glue mentioned earlier that, for practice's sake in the Moogle Cup, we would rather them learn how to run up the tower more often than not. But the possibility for a skip does exist.
I'm pretty sure Moogle Defense was an Esper. Velvet is now 7 and 8, and he'll probably be 8 and 8 after this.
He will, definitely. I did want to mention one other thing. I was sitting here thinking, I couldn't remember, I lost my train of thought, but I did see that Velvet X did have the Kefka at Narsh skip down, which was a great time save. I know Gretham did not appear to be proficient in that particular skip just yet, so that did buy Velvet a little bit of extra time being able to skip through those random battles in Kefka at Narsh.
Poltergeist for Velvet X shouldn't be much of a problem because we have access to Ultima. We have access to Throw on Terror. We have access to a lot of things that will penetrate his high defense.
Oh yeah, I
Just
don't think
not
that'll
Ice
be
3.
much of an issue. Yeah, not Ice 3. Well, Sylvia S7, let me be one of the first to say, welcome to the community. We're glad to have you here. As we've mentioned, this is the Moogle Cup flags, and we have signups open again for the Moogle Cup. So if you're interested in learning some more and maybe joining into the next Moogle Cup, please do. We do have the information here for you. And yeah, check into that if you're interested. We're more than happy to have you. All right, so yeah, we have Atma over in Gretham's side to get Locke, and he goes down nice and quick.
Very nice, very fast.
Very fast. So he'll get his lock and probably just warp right out of here and do his weapon shop and then move right along. If that weapon shop is an Esper, he's got his unlock. He's ready to go. So I'm eager to see what that weapon shop has. He does not have Terra. Oop, what
He
did I
does not
miss?
have, that's correct, he does not have his Terra because Terra is at the end of match check. And there's no scenario where he will end up with Terra.
None.
Moogle Defense was dead. That's another Minerva for Velvet X there. So 2 Minervas for his
Ooh.
Star Strip. And no characters.
That is very harsh. So I'm thinking that the leaving Locke behind was a risky choice that doesn't appear to have paid off this time. We're gonna see just how much here in just a moment as we check this weapon shop. The other thing I had mentioned that having Terra, you'd be able to get an extra check behind Welk Cave. In World of Balance, Narsh, whatever option you do not choose here from Locke's weapon shop check goes behind Welk Cave. So you can get both, and it is an Esper and a Flame Shield. So that is unlock for Gretham. And
Yeah, how ironic that the lock leads to the unlock so quickly for Gretham.
aha. Yeah, so now we're going to see, is he just going to go straight in? I imagine so. I mean, he could technically peek someplace quick. Maybe go check Fon Baba, or maybe go check the, the Tunnel Armor Cave, just to see if it's a character, just to see if he can push the skip. But I'm not sure that I would. I think I would probably just go with the offense I have, or they have.
No, the only quick check he has access to is South Figaro Cave, which is the Tunnel Armor spot. I don't think he's done Cave on the Belt yet, so that may be peekable. It looks like we're paying Gal's data visit just in the wrong world.
Maybe we're getting Bum Rush.
Maybe.
I think he's a little lost trying to find it.
And
there it is.
Go.
So we are getting Bum Rush on Celis. Okay. I like the idea. That's good. It's good practice. I'm not sure that with that Atma weapon that would be the choice I make, but I love that, we're going to see some variety in the offense here.
No, I like him doing this as well, too, because if you never done Bum Rush and Worlds Collide, even a pathetic character like Cyan, if you have 2 earrings, you're going to flirt with doing quad 9s just because of how powerful it is. The only downside to Bum Rush is that it's untargetable.
It is untargetable, and the other downside, you have about a what is it, a minute and 5 second cutscene that you get to watch. You know, Dragon Ball Z Duncan edition. So, but the payoff is huge. You know, it just gives that character something to do for the rest of the seed, and a tremendous something to do on top of that. Velvet X, unfortunately, seeing a dead check and going to reset out of the Velt Cave. So he is at that point, I think, where he's really got undesirable checks. He's got Zen, he's got Floating Continent, and he's got Opera House. So it's not the best options in the world for him right now.
Looks like we're going to go peek what's at Moogles. Remember, he needs 2 Espers, and we knew where 1 Esper was if he just would have took the lock.
Definitely. One fun thing about this, a lot of people tend to avoid this check, but there's something that can make it a little more tolerable for you. I tend to take a little bit of a time to unequip 2 of my characters that I don't particularly need for the boss fight here. I want to make sure my top 2 characters are in the fight after Fun Baba blows you away. If you just kill the 2 characters that you don't want to join into the second fight, they get blown away first. So whoever's dead gets blown away, and you get to keep your 2 characters. Downside is you do have to, you do want to equip your characters. There's some menu time involved. And we have a Sabin, unfortunately, over at the Fun Baba check. So, did he check to see if that was a character or an Esper by talking to the little girl in the shed? I think I missed that.
He's backed himself into a corner to where he either has to do Elite River and Opera House and hope they're both Espers, but it's faster to do this to grab Sabin and then just start doing saving checks than to do either of those 2 scenarios. So while this is an unfortunate play, he's ended up having to do, this is the correct play, given the circumstances that you can arrive at.
Definitely. As mentioned, this guy has weird weaknesses. He does absorb Bolt, and he does use a lot of Bolt, and he's weak to Bio. So he's a weird one. I did see that Velvet used Bolt on him, but quickly picked it back up with Science, smacking him around. We have a double Fun Baba. Look at that.
Oh, back round 2 already, so fast.
I know. He said he was ready for round 2, and I think he's going to regret his decision. Also mentioned in here, Gig of Ram, he does say that the auction house is an option for that last Esper if he decided to go for it. I tend to not want to because though it only takes about 30 seconds per try, it feels like 10 minutes per try. Makes me miserable, so I try my best to avoid it. But it's enough.
That may be more appropriate when you're down to 1, but he still needs 2, so there would be some combination of Floating Continent, Wheat River, Opera House, then Auction House. But with Sabin, hopefully he goes right to both for the Peekables. Hopefully we're going right to Collapsing House and saving. And then if that's character, we just reset. Then we go right to Phantom Train, see if that's an Esper. And if that's not an Esper, we reset. And then we just do the other ones.
Absolutely. First boss over at Inferno Spot for Gretham and Kefka's Tower is Leader. He is a joke, so he died in 1 hit, and we move along.
Yeah, Leader is so much of a joke that even Cyan runs laps around him in the vanilla game.
He absolutely does. And especially in this particular seed, where he smacked him for 8,000 damage with a Ragnarok. It works really well. So, Collapsing House appears to be a non-character, but it can be dead. So we're hoping for an Esper and not a dead check here.
Yeah, good patience there to just skip all the chest. There's really nothing in the chest that does anything for us other than just, kind of nitpicking, saying I'd rather have an Illuminous or my Ragnarok. And I may agree with you on that, but there is such a small percentage of a chance of Luna being in that chest that there's no point in just doing that.
The Loot Goblin Siren Song boss in this game is huge. That is one thing that is really hard to get over, is like every chest, must loot every chest, knowing, when you have to skip and not loot is big. Moment of truth. What do we got?
Is it an Esper?
The wait is killing me.
Oh,
it is a Ragnarok. Tragic.
That's a bummer.
Absolutely tragic. I have been in this situation before where it's just a desperate scramble for the last 1 or 2 checks and you just can't find it. It is awful. Ah, yes. The age-old saying, Golden Shocker in chat here, every chest you don't loot is an Illumina or an Experience Egg, ain't it always? It sure feels like that way.
Alright,
I
well,
can't.
Velvet is still searching for Esper number 8. We got Gretham, who's coming up his last party to these switches, so he just has 4 more fights and a few more animations to go before he is on his final Kefka fight.
Now, one thing we know, and one thing that Gretham doesn't know, is that Magimaster is at the end of Magitech, so we don't have to worry about a Magimaster in one of the lanes. So that is fantastic. We've also fought a Spicy Chicken already. Doing pretty good there. There's still a couple spicy bosses out there, like Doom Gaze, Doom, Goddess, but at least some of the worst ones, particularly Magimaster, are not going to be a threat in these wings.
Good heads up play here by Velvet, while Imperial Camp isn't 100% peekable. It doesn't take too long to get through this. Ooh, that's unfortunate. This Ninja Wire Dragon's a great fight, but we don't need levels. We need Espers more so than anything, so just run away from it and see what's behind door number 2.
Definitely, and after this, he'll be able to see if it's a character. If it is a character, he can just reset out. If it's
Yeah.
not, then again, fingers crossed, it's a character.
Oh, so I
Oh,
think that's a
no.
mistake. I would have took the Zetzer, and Zetzer's the only character I would have took, just because you can do that gives you access to Search Disguise, which is only an Esper or an item. Plus, you can go do Collagen in.
Absolutely.
So that's
Oh, I just commentators cursed. I'm gonna have to apologize for Gretham later. I did say some of the spicy boys are gone, but some are still around. I called him in by name. I willed him into existence. We have a wild Doom Gaze, but it looks like he'll be fine. He did not get mathed to death, and he does have Pearl, so it looks like we'll be okay.
Yeah, that's another bummer for Velvet X. They're passing on another character that's going to bite him. You can finish Imperial Camp, go do Collagen in, and then do Search the Skies all in the same time. It probably takes you to do Phantom Train. It's really going to be a photo finish, just which one you finish first, that sequence or Phantom Train. So that's
That's
a
very true.
bummer.
Setzer does have some of the fastest checks in the game. I see a lot of people are, sort of skipping out on Daryl's Tomb, and I find that to be, not that bad of a check. So even if you really have to, that's not a bad option either. Not in this case, but I still feel like almost all of Setzer's checks are pretty viable. 2 of which are very viable.
And the only problem with Daryl's Tomb is, other than Collagen in and the Coliseum, you'll never have any reason to go to that part of the map. So from a routing standpoint, if you're trying to go, I'm at point A, what's point B is closest, you never arrive at the conclusion where point B is closest unless you're doing Collagen in or the Coliseum.
Precisely. That's why I try to loop them all in together. So if I'm gonna do some Setzer checks, if he's not my starting character, I'll make a point to go hit up the Coliseum. If I feel like I need something, I'll definitely hit up Collagen, and then I will go over to Daryl's Tomb and kind of loop them up in one little nice, well-wrapped package. But I definitely don't want to go there, I don't want to orphan it and then have to make the decision to go back there again later. We got Stooges over on Gretham's side. Fun fact, Larry is instant deathable. So you are free to X-Zone or Doom him, or in this case, cleave him to death, which looks like Cyan with his 9100 damage Ragnarok took care of him just fine, so no need to worry about it. But it looked like he was queuing it up, so he had the right idea there.
That's an efficient science. So I guess there's a first time for everything.
There is, sometimes miracles happen, Glue. Here we are. We're catching it live here. So we have 2 down. We had a Doom Gaze there. And the middle path was, a couple Stooges. No big deal. Let's see what the other 2 paths have for us. Alright, so we are jumping off the falls, and fingers crossed this is the last Esper we need. Oh, we have Inferno. Inferno, Fairy Glass Cannon. You got some Bolt, throw Bolt in his face, and be done with it.
If you got Ultima, you can throw Ultima in his face too.
You could definitely throw Ultima in his face, and then he gets very upset about that. Shrapnel can be pretty spicy, but once you knock out his limbs and hit him a couple times, he drops. But the thing with him is if you don't get him taken care of quickly, he can spiral pretty fast. So you really want to utilize that weakness to Bolt. You would think with his name being Inferno, and you would think with his name being Inferno and absorbing fire, that Ice would be the ticket. It is not. It is Bolt. Or Ultima.
Moment of truth for Velvet.
Here
Is
we
this
go. I got
Esper
my
number
fingers crossed.
9, or does the search continue? He could really use another Ragnarok if you're asking me, but
Absolutely. You know, he could be like Zoro from One Piece. Just start
Yep.
putting him in his feet, toes, hands, mouth. Go for it. All right.
there we
got
go.
We got it. We made it, everybody.
Took a little while, but we got there.
We got there. And Inferno goes down on Gretham's side, leaving us with one more wing to go before he starts his climb. And yeah, Velvet is wasting no time. He says we're going straight to it. That took way too long, and we're on the way. And thankfully, we have a lot of calmness protection. Well, you have at least Golem calmness protection, it looks like. So that is not a problem. I don't see a lot else. I didn't see an Odin, didn't see Raiden, didn't see a Siren there. So we're missing a little bit of those utility Espers, but at least we have Golem for calmness protection.
We do have access to Sword Tech 8, which is pretty good, but no
Absolutely.
mute unless it was on the Esper that we may have missed. One of his Espers did have Quick on it. I think that may be something if they notice it that you'd want to call out and throw it on some characters, just because Quick is a pretty broken ability.
100%. You give that to Cyan, and you know you're hitting him for 9,000 damage twice, no problems. Or ideally, put Quick on an Atma offering user, but I don't think anybody went back for that offering, so that's not an option. But
I think they're all fading the Atma offering setup, which is okay when you got 27 Ragnaroks handed to you, and everybody can wear them. There's nothing wrong with that.
You're right. So either of them would be great for Quick, especially when you're trying to push tier 3 sleep, and you need to do a ton of damage in one turn to keep them from meteor spamming you into the ground. Quick is like your ticket. If you don't have any way to break that damage cap naturally, Quick is the way to take care of that. And we actually do have Siren over on Gretham's side, so at least Mute is taken care of on his side as well.
Siren was the World of Ruin Narsh Weapon Shop Esper, so that lock decision just keeps on kicking them.
It sure does. Keeps on paying off for Gretham in this case. Looks like we're getting ready to kick off Kefka here on Gretham's side, and we're moving on up the tower on Velvet's.
So last night during Gretham's race, he pretty much burdened his way through the entire Kefka fight. He won't be doing that tonight, so I'm interested in how he takes this on, where he's not doing, AOE attacks and everything, and he's doing a little more single target. Let's see if he can get the order operations in an efficient manner and get that down.
Most definitely. Order of Operations is very big when it comes to Tier 1 and Tier 2 for various reasons. Actually, and Tier 3. It's just a big deal all around, knowing what you need to do on Kefka. So we have switches right about 1:15:17 on my side for Gretham. If anyone wants to get some guesses into chat on how long you think this Kefka fight will be, let's see what we got. So we said about a 1:15:17 start for Gretham.
I'm gonna say 10 minutes on the dot.
Ooh, 10 on the dot. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a really good one. But I'm gonna undershoot you a little bit, and I'm gonna say 9. He's got some killer offense, so let's see how it goes. All right, about to get started here. Now, do you count the time from when you hit switches or from when you start Tier 1?
From when you start Tier 1 and you hear the church bell, that's when I keep track of everything.
I got it. So that's a 1:16:15 start. We'll see how it goes. Tier 1 has 3 parts to him. He's got the long arm with the open hand closest to the screen. That's the one you want to kill first. It's also instant deathable, so Throw your Dooms, throw your X Zones, throw your Breaks, throw your Kirans like he just did. Get it knocked out. Second one you want to get rid of is the head. The reason why you want to get rid of the head, second, or first, technically, is if you kill him last, he earthquakes you, and you're very sad, unless you have float. But typical, and he's also very weak to fire. So blast fire in his face, hit him as hard as you can, knock him down, bum rush him. Once he's dead, you go to the short arm with the clenched fist, and all he really likes to do is punch you in the face a lot. Big fan of counter-attacking, so you just kill it last, make sure it doesn't kill you before he dies, and move on up.
That was a good heads-up play there by Gretham to cast Golem on Tier 1, because for the Moogle Cup flags, multi-summon is on. And summoning, the downside of the summoning is that you can only do it one time in the vanilla game. But some of the summons are incredibly useful, such as Golem, Fenrir, Bahamut, or Tritalk, and a few others in some other use case scenarios. So great heads-up play there to pull it out there.
Absolutely, that is huge, especially on this one, which is almost all physical damage. There's just a lot going on with physical. With Golem, he'll just block it like that, and I think he's probably getting ready to go down after this bum rush. We'll be on the way to Tier 2. Velvet is just about to hit his switches, so he'll be, well, he's getting ready to start the shortcut anyway and start his last 4 boss fights toward Kefka. Oh, I'm actually surprised the short arm lasted that long, but away he goes. Now, Tier 2 is probably the one that gives most people some of the most trouble, aside from maybe Tier 3.
Yeah, tier 2 does have the most parts. 4 is greater than 3 and 2 and 1. If I'm wrong, correct me. But 4 parts, and some of these parts are just kind of trolly. Magic will only cast magic spells. Tiger face, which is the part of your screen that looks like a tiger at the bottom right of the statue thingamabobber. He can do some annoying stuff as well. And then tools will get a little spicy as well if you don't have to deal with them. And then last but not least, we have Hit, who just sits up front and likes to hit you. Go figure.
Yeah, go figure. And he's usually the one that you want to take out last. My order of operations, is usually going to be tools in the middle. Instant deathable. You can't break her, but you can do just about everything else to her to knock her out. And then Tiger Face, because, getting zombied or Northcrossed is just the worst. It's just the worst.
So Tiger will start doing zombie. He has 30,000 HP, but he will start doing Doom Tusk when he falls under it's an odd number. It's like 10,200 HP or less. And when he falls under that, that's when he can use an AoE attack with his ability, and he'll immediately follow that up with Doom Tusk.
And boy, have I lost fights to Doom Tusk. He just he catches you right before your ATB is filled. Doom Tusk, boom, straight into an Ultima, GG. Or, oh, you have that Octo VK user, that's who's getting Doom Tusked. And he's just gonna knock your whole team down in one attack. It's awful. Doomgaze is being quite spicy over on Velvet's side. So let's see if he can pull through this. Looks like Terra has the Minerva, so that's very good.
Good heads-up play. This game kept giving him Minerva, so you might as well put one of them.
Definitely. Ooh, Arrow is not great, especially when you have Atma weapon. Oh, no, Minerva.
Oh, Minerva.
Yeah, Minerva keeps doing what it does.
The only thing that he's in danger of is Doom.
Doom. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, that
unfortunate curse
that
there,
hurts.
but another thing Velvet X is fortunately doesn't want to see right now is winning lottery ticket numbers. So if he can see some of those in the near to immediate future, that would be very bad for him.
Yes, it would be. Oh, okay. Gretham's got 10 hits going here, so he might be down to just the last target. I assume Magic is the only one left. I was focused on the Doomgaze fight. Oh, and he has to start.
Oh, that's a big
full
walk
climb.
back too. Yeah.
Yeah, he has to start that climb from Inferno. That hurts. Yeah, Doomgaze and Magimaster are pretty much the two that you really don't particularly want to see in here. Doomgaze not too much if you're not a multiple of 5, but he can still cause a lot of trouble.
These are some death counters now from Magic on Gretham's side. Ooh, that's a big hit for the party members for quarter. But I think we're fine. We have the requisite pieces of equipment for our characters, not all wiped to Merton, so we should be fine for the opening of this next tier.
Definitely. This one is simultaneously more straightforward and way more confusing, all wrapped up into one package. You only have 2 targets. You have Lady, the floating lady head on the left, and all she really wants to do is cure and absorb magic attacks. So you gotta kill her. She's got 10,000 life. You gotta kill her with non-magical damage. So, non-elemental damage, that is. So, that Ragnarok's fine, Ultima's fine. You want to kill her because if you kill Sleep first, he's going to revive her. That's not what you want, so. Or he'll revive Sleep. The problem is Sleep. Once Sleep gets to about 30,000 damage, he's got 40,000 total, gets to about 30,000, he wants to really start countering you hard. With Meteos and with Train. Train adding a bunch of fun status ailments, mostly blind and silence. 2 things that you really don't want when you're using magic to knock him down. And Meteo, which does a tremendous amount of physical damage to your party. He can also spam it. Sometimes he'll do it twice in a row. It's super great. So the main tactic you're trying to do here is push him as close to counter phase as possible. Get your calmness protection up, whether that's Fenrir, life 3, or your Golem. Get those up, and then push him to dead in 1 attack. Whether that's someone breaking the damage cap or a quick. Either way, push him through, kill him before he has a chance to counter. He does his calmness, you block it with your calmness protection, and you move right along.
A fun thing about Lady casting Life 2 is that whenever Lady casts Life 2, Sleep comes back with 9,999 HP. And as physics mentioned, that means he is still in the Meteo phase, so as soon as he comes right back up, his ATB starts charging, and only Meteo is coming out, so if he does come back up from Life 2, he is immediately right back into that dangerous phase of Meteo. So keep that in mind too if you try to break the order of operations and do it backwards. That's not always the smartest move.
There is a fun little tactic you can use. Now, if you use Revivify, if he is in Meteo phase, you pushed him a little too far, and you need to back the fight up. You need to back it up, you need to regain your footing, and then push him back into it. Throw a Revivify on him. Glue will give you the specific numbers because I don't know them, but they will heal him and pull him out of Meteo phase.
So when a Revivify heals a character or enemy, it will heal them for 1/8 their max HP. And since Sleep has 40,000 HP, 1/8, again, I only have 4 good fingers on my right hand, my pinky is just kind of there. But 1/8 of 40,000 is 5,000, so any Revivify you drop on him will restore 5,000 HP to him. So at most, you just have to drop 2 Revivifies to get him back up and going into a safe, nice and tidy safe space.
Definitely, and sometimes you just, especially maybe with fixed dice strats or something where those dice just really hit harder than you ever thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just push a little too hard and you just need to take a step back, get your bearings, heal up, and then push them back in and finish up the fight. And that's one of the nuances that Glue had mentioned earlier. Actually, I think it was the Schwantz, that sometimes you gotta pedal to the metal it, and sometimes you really have to take a step back, reevaluate, and pick it back up. And Doomgaze is just being a Doom spammer right now. Absolutely devastating. Doom over and over and over again. And yeah, there we go again. This is a spicy Doomgaze. That's 4 Dooms in a row.
That was interesting that he elected to go right back into the Doomgaze fight. That could be a victim or a decision based on emotion, thinking I'm going to teach this son of a gun a lesson here. But you could alternate to one of your other sides and let them see if that fight's safer, because again, a lot of bosses in Final Fantasy VI are kind of jokes. There's a lot of easy bosses. There's still some Ultroses out there. I don't think we've seen Tunnel Armor. I don't think we've seen number 128. And a number of other bosses still exist that are not very scary to our other parties in this situation.
Oh no, don't shade number 128. I've had him overflow and kill my party in 1 turn.
Oh, that's number 1. That's number 024. Number 128 is the big purple
the
guy.
Inferno Junior. Inferno Junior.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I got you. I mixed up the numbers. We're on to Kefka 4 over on Gretham's side. So he's pretty straightforward, all things considered. The main thing is once he's in his last third of health, you need to be real careful because he wants to start countering you. And he can counter you with Ultima, which is not great.
No, it hurts.
Yeah, but
It will
otherwise,
do about 2,500 damage to multiple party members. If multiple party members are targeted or hit, it will do about like 4,500 if a single target party member is up. And if you've ever played multiple seeds or the middle game of Final Fantasy 6, 4,500 damage on your party is a lot. There's a lot of scenarios where you only have that much maximum
he goes
HP.
down.
Nevertheless,
126.49.
GG's to Gretham.
126.29 makes it a 10-minute and 14-second fight. So well done, Glue. I think you called it there. So GG's to Gretham.
Hello.
GG's, my dog.
Whew.
GG's
Thank
Gretham.
you.
Well done.
Thank you. That one felt pretty good.
Hey guys, did you see how Cyan was just like waylaying? He almost got rid of him for Gao.
I should.
Oh no.
I should have gotten. I felt like I should have gotten rid of Gao for Cyan, but then I kept Cyan, and then I was kicking myself for not taking Gao, and that's why I messed up the Kefka skip.
Oh man, no.
Oh.
We I think Glue and I would have been ripping our hair out if you benched a Cyan swinging a Ragnarok.
So-
I mean,
Well, no,
we don't get to see
I didn't
that
have a
often.
Ragnarok until after that decision.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. I guess I can see that.
Yeah, I think he only found the one Ragnarok dead check and not the 4 others that Velvet found.
I got 2.
True.
So I was hoping for a Genji glove, so I could rock the double rag on Cyan, because I had 1 rag on Celes.
Okay.
But
Well,
I mean, it was a stat stick for Bum Rush.
Definitely.
let me ask y'all this, fellas. What was y'all's game plan to tackle the seed? What to get going and to come across and tackle the various challenges that the seed was going to present you?
So fast.
Yeah, do some early shopping, hopefully get power, and then the big thing is hope to get super balls or rods, and I got super balls.
Boy, did you. They were everywhere. Everywhere you
Yeah.
went, Super Balls.
Yeah.
And that's one
Oh.
thing I did see. I did very much appreciate that. You're like, oh, Super Balls. I'm done looting. Straight to World of Ruin, Zozo. Let's knock that dragon out right away, and then immediately get blessed with an experience egg. What a choice.
Yeah. And that was good, because it got me Bum Rush, and then it got Cyan to just be a murder machine.
To say the least. Yes.
Yeah.
That was one of those ones where he just he made that choice because he was also thinking going Doma and catching some grind fights there. He's like, maybe I should just go do a dragon. I said, go do a dragon, and it worked out perfect. I mean, I was telling him earlier, experience eggs wins races.
Yeah.
It 100% does, especially because we saw a few things that would work beautifully with an experience egg. You had Blitz. You had an Atma weapon. There was an offering for sale. You had Ragnaroks. You had Sword Tech. There's an unlimited amount of use that goes into that experience egg, not to mention a +2 strength Esper. It's just a match made in heaven, and to find it that early was amazing.
Yeah, there was just so much offense. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of some of the checks, but like I just was so strong that I could just blow through everything.
Oh yeah, I think you were both you and Velvet were pretty much ready to start fighting Kefka probably at like 10 checks. Some of the offense that's going on in here, you guys were blitzing hard with what it was giving you.
Yeah, because normally I'd like to do like just like another couple dragons just in case, but I was just so strong that like I didn't need the extra.
Most certainly. I do have to say real quick, Velvet X got his revenge on Doomgaze. I'm going to segue that into apologizing profusely. It did not affect you too much there, Gretham, but it was mere minutes after I mentioned he who shall not be named. Did he show up in Center Path? Old Doomgaze there. Thankfully, you did not die to math. Velvet did not die to math. And you at least got through it pretty well, but Velvet struggled. So I must apologize for the commentator's curse.
What was really funny is I checked a random chest going up, and we got a Pearl Rod, and Numbers and I were joking, like, the Pearl Rod might be useful. I use it on low-level Realm, and she does 7.2k with a random Pearl Rod I found.
And fantastic use for that, by the way.
Yeah.
Just knowing that he's weak to Pearl and just having that there, like, oh, here, have this. I found this for you.
Yeah.
So
No,
what are you guys as far as commentating? How are you guys liking, the Moogle Cup and how it's going so far?
I think it's going fantastic. I've spoken with Glue a little bit on stream here, just about how it is going, and I think it's just a wonderful way to get people involved in the community who might just be a little bit too, a little skittish to jump in, and being able to have that one-on-one mentorship and be able to learn at a rapid pace and not feel like you're just on your own reading wikis all day, can be just huge for new members to the community, and I think it's fantastic. I love the focus on being able to race too. I think that's really good to get your feet wet there.
Yeah, having a mentor is very nice.
Oh, I am very jealous, Gretham. I was very much just running old Moogle Cup seeds, the Moogle's first tournament seeds, and just being very confused. So I think it is fantastic. I'm glad to hear that it's as helpful for you as I assumed it would be.
Yeah.
I still use mentors.
Somebody to bounce off ideas, just like to think my thoughts out with somebody else is very nice.
So I just go back and think about, I started playing this about 3 years ago now. And first of all, we've had so many changes over the last 3 years. It has just kept getting better and better and better. And if I could go back and have a mentor whenever I first started, I could only imagine how far I would have jumped, because I was figuring everything out on my own and I was watching other people play. But it's hard to, whenever you got a wife and kids and you got so much going on, it's hard to watch people play plus put your own seeds in.
Most definitely, and that's a problem I definitely experienced when I joined in, and I started this with zero experience, zero usable experience. I played it as a kid, but I remembered nothing. So, no, it's huge.
Yeah, because I came in with not a lot of knowledge. Like I had played this once again, like you, as a kid, and I just did a lot of lurking. That's how I picked up my initial information. But then having a mentor has expedited that learning phase by a lot.
Definitely, and I'm sure as you've seen, this community as a whole, I will never stop, tooting the horn of this community. Everybody here is extremely welcoming. Everybody is almost like chomping at the bit to help you. Any questions you have, if somebody has the answers, you're gonna have that answer usually within 5 minutes if you post it in the Discord.
Oh yeah, it's
We're
great,
all desperate to help.
Yeah, mentor system, VOD review, Ultros Cup, Tonic Division, so I'm racing against people my level, Moogle Cup, like there's so much to learn from.
Definitely, and if anybody is watching that is interested, please join the Discord. We want to help you. Pop in, say hey, get started. We'll help you every step of the way. But Gretham, what is your favorite part of having the mentor? Like, what is it that you feel like it helps you the most?
It's just like anytime I have a question, I can just send a message and then I just have an answer. It's not like I don't have to go look for something. I don't have to like find a specific situation in a VOD. It's just I have just information ready whenever I need it. So that's been really nice.
That is huge, and that's really good to hear. I am thinking about doing my own, being a mentor myself for the next Moogle Cup. So I'm taking notes on what makes a good mentor. So I appreciate it.
You know what makes me good? I guess a lot.
Perfect. If it works, it works.
It worked. I'm fine with it. I had a very smooth seed, so I have no complaints.
Definitely. I just want to throw a quick thing to chat here. We got a 135.42 start for Velvet X over on Kefka. Go ahead and get your guesses in there. What do you think this climb is going to look like? Throw your times in there and let's see what you got.
Yeah, pretty smooth Kefka, where lots of offense.
What was Gretham's official time on Final Kefka? Like his how long did it take him?
10 minutes and 14 seconds.
Okay, it was 10 minutes. I was thinking it was 8 minutes. I mean, that's pretty good. A 10-minute Kefka is not bad.
Oh, not at all. It was, I think, most probably 2 of those minutes are probably final Kefka going through Goner, but that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
That can just take so much time waiting for Goner to just finally charge and then recouping your healing yourself up and then pushing him to the end. So
It was really nice just being able to pop Golem every phase.
I actually didn't know that you could do that until Glue popped it up. That is fantastic. I'm very jealous. Add that to Ultras League. I want it.
Yeah, that's nice. And then the undead flags being back on bosses, I remembered that at one boss I was able to pop. It was Senior Behemoth. I was able to pop Revivify on the second part.
Yeah, I did see that. Knowing that he is killable is very important, and we had quite a bit of talks about boss weaknesses and things like that, and how big that is in Ultras League in general, or in Final Fantasy. Boss weaknesses can save you 10, 15, 20 minutes across the sea, just knowing that.
Yeah, I have a sheet from the wiki that has all the boss exploits on it that I have pulled up.
There's some flashcards around somewhere.
Okay.
If you wanna turn this game into a chore, you could do flashcards. Everybody loves to learn with flashcards.
I haven't done flashcards in a while.
A lot of people. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's a lot of people that make their own Excel sheet with this stuff, and I'm just like, I love this game, but not that much.
I mean, we have plenty of those resources already. You just have to check the wiki. They're all there. It's just sometimes you want to have your own around that's more readable for you, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess that's the best way to look at it.
I have a very small one that I'm starting. What I like to do, what checks, kind of that. When I feel strong, when it feels weak. It's nice to just have your thoughts down on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And
Blue, did you have any other questions going on? Oh, you can go ahead.
Nope. I was just gonna make a silly little pun.
Oh, and I would have interrupted it. Ah, man, I blew the moment. Sorry.
Rats.
Yeah, Glue, did you have any inputs, questions for him?
No, I was gonna say, good GG Gretham. Thank you again, Numbers, for being a mentor for Gretham and in our Moogle Cup. Is there anything before we let y'all go and we get the focus back on Velvet in the race? Is there anything y'all want to plug or mention before we let you guys go?
No, just thank you for creating this Moogle Cup. It's great for learning. Thank you for Numbers for being my mentor, and thank you all for commentating and restreaming and tracking.
Absolutely. Thanks for agreeing to be restreamed. I know it is a whole new sort of form of anxiety. Racing, to a whole community can be nerve-wracking. Yeah. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I've been on the other end. I've tracked for people, but this is my first time being restreamed.
It terrifies me. And I'm not new, but I'm still freaked out every time I get restreamed, so...
Yeah, at the beginning I was, but like 10 minutes in, I kind of just forgot.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of get zoned out once you get into it, but it is usually the first 10 minutes for me, and I'm like shaking in my boots the whole time.
I gotta tell Blue something. Dog, I was wearing my hat the whole time.
That's why you won.
See, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, you don't need a spreadsheet for that correlation.
Always wear the hat. Always wear the hat.
Beautiful.
I need to hear about this hat at some point. I don't know what hat we're talking about.
You don't hear about it, you see it.
Okay. It better be a dog hat.
Yeah, I'm right it is. Oh, sorry, darn right, excuse me.
Ooh. Time this man out.
Alright, well, GG's again, Gretham. Thank you again, JS. Thank you again, Gretham, for agreeing to be in the restream and putting y'all's race on the restream. I hope you guys have a great night.
Alright, you guys have a good one, too.
GG's, Gretham and JS. Y'all have a great night.
Alright, have a good one, guys.
See ya. Alright, we are just wrapping up Tier 2 over on Velvet's side. We got 10 hits going, and I think that's the last one before we move on to Tier 3.
So it is, I think Velvet will make it through his Kefka fight here just fine. It is a little important, the time difference, because similar to the Warring Triads and the Sync races, and that the most amount of time difference that can be granted is a 30-minute time difference. Velvet X, 120.37, or excuse me, yeah, 120.37. Was that it? No, it's 126.44 was the time we have for Gretham. officially, and we're at the 141 mark, and we have 15 minutes to go before we're in that 30-minute maximum time difference range. So that's important for tiebreaker purposes to move on, because we do have one forfeit already victory in the Group A of Moogle Cup. So being able to, despite losing, but losing less than 30 minutes is huge in the tiebreaker department for Velvet X.
Got you. So that's how we're doing. I'm not actually 100% sure exactly how the scoring goes or how the progression goes.
Well, it's head-to-head wins is the first tiebreaker indicator. Then after that, it is your margin of victory, and then again, the most margin of victory you can have in a race is 30 minutes. So it doesn't matter if your opponent finishes in 1 hour and you finish in 4 hours. You're only granted a 30-minute deficit in your margin of victory.
I see. That makes sense. We're getting just whirlwind blasted here by sleep.
We do have a Mega Elixir on hand from that Magic Master fight we unfortunately found earlier. Let's see if he elects to use it now or if he wants to power through. No,
Looks
we
like he's
are
powering through.
Yeah, we're full speed ahead.
I'm sure he's feeling behind, after the whole Doomgaze debacle and that hunt for the Espers. I think he doesn't want to waste too much time here. He's just ready to go. It looked like he had his Life 3 set up already. So maybe that's what his deal, he has Life 3 set up. He's just moving along.
No. Down goes
That
Shadow,
hurts.
but I think we're fine.
That hurts. I am curious why he chose not to use Golem. Maybe it was just the full speed ahead tactic. Just no time, just go.
Mm-hmm.
But he still has a heavy hitter in Terra, so he's got plenty of offense going into Tier 4 here.
Sometimes when you're racing these flag sets, you forget some of these options like multi-summon. This is a scenario where I'd definitely be trying to push through, and I'd probably straight up forget that multi-summon's on. So it's always very helpful to practice the flag set you're racing to learn the ins and outs of it for tactics like that.
100%. I would absolutely forget, but that's, I'm so used to Ultras League flags. Being able to summon it multiple times in a fight is like a dream come true. And he is swinging for the fences here on Tier 4. Are we going to just do the Mega Elixir straight up? He is.
Yeah, no point in holding it. Just get it out so you can bypass the Fallen One.
Well, Fallen One's already out, but I guess bypass the second one, because he can recast it if he goes several rounds without being pushed past 30,000 life damage, that is.
Yeah, we're past it and then some, because out comes Goner. Fun fact about Runic there on his saving, you can't Runic Goner, but you can Runic Ultima if you want to risk it for the biscuit here.
I have done so before. It feels real good.
Feels
when
darn
you're just
good.
like, you know what? I'm gonna Runic and just slap him with this Ragnarok a few times and if he ultimas, who cares, right? And boy, does it feel great when it works out. Also, Terra with a casual 7,000 life right now. She could eat a whole Ultima by herself and be fine. She could still go to lunch.
I think she can eat a single target Ultima, and then she can eat a single target Goner as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, shit. I meant to say.
Is that it? That
It's
it?
done.
That
Yeah,
it?
that's it.
GG's.
GG.
Yeah.
145.06. 145.06. That is a pretty speedy Kefka. That is about 9 minutes and 30 seconds, roughly. 9 minutes and 36. 9 minutes 36 seconds.
Very nice.
Very nice.
And Velvet will be joining us for a brief interview in just a moment. They said they had to go cast bio, which happens.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think overall this race was quite good. We saw quite a division of routes to start with, and we saw what can sometimes happen when characters are skipped. It does limit the amount of pools of choices you have. Sometimes it can speed things up, but sometimes it can come back and bite you.
I do think the skipping character is a situational play in that when Velvet did it with his lock, we didn't even have 6 characters yet. Granted, we knew Realm was hidden behind just a Whelk that we couldn't deal with earlier. Nevertheless, having access to those quick checks for those espers that we couldn't come across later would have been huge and possibly a difference maker in the race.
Absolutely, and the main deciding factor for me there, if I was in that situation and considering skipping, is can I do his checks quickly? And the main thing is that he was found at the end of World of Ruin Narsh, where you could very, very quickly just go check that weapon shop, see what's there. He did find Terra. It would have been an extra, shield that he could have later on. But the main thing is that Esper, and being able to go to South Figaro Cave is huge as well. It's quite fast.
Yo.
GG's, Velvet X and the Schwantz. Well done.
Yeah, I think there were some areas of opportunity there that were unfortunate, but yeah.
Yeah, it does happen like that sometimes. I guess the most immediate thing and the freshest thing for you, I do have to apologize. You did come after Gretham in this case, but I did speak the name Doomgaze into my mic before he appeared. And lo and behold, he appeared. And I do apologize for what occurred afterwards.
Yeah, I don't think that was the issue. Honestly, I think the biggest problem was, and I don't even know why I even did it. It was the save point after Magitech Factory. That actually really, I was like, dude, there's no way I'm gonna I was way behind at that point, and having to do the minecart ride over was pretty unfortunate. And the fact that I didn't save was just careless. I felt like I was in go mode 100%. There was nothing that was gonna stop me. And then, of course, as we all know,
surprise, Magimaster.
Yeah, Magimaster.
Unfortunately, Magimaster will appear when you have the most hubris at the moment. The second you think you are ready, in flies in Magimaster out of nowhere, and it's like, oh no. We've all been there dozens of times. I know the Schwantz has.
Yep, he's the Randy Orton of the Worlds Collide community,
I like that reference.
RKO out of nowhere.
Yeah, and then the Doomgaze where I didn't. Hindsight 2020, I should have taken a grind fight way before, and then I did it again. I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe that was just a one-off, but dude, Doomgaze was really rude.
He did like 4 or 5 Dooms in a row, and they didn't miss. They just kept hitting. It was insane. The aggression that he had for you. He was not about using his weak attacks. It was arrow, and it was just doom, 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 doom. So I was really feeling for you there. What were your thoughts, or the Schwantz's thoughts, on perhaps trying a different group on that Doomgaze, as opposed to putting Terra there, putting someone else there?
At the time, well, me personally, at the time, I was like, dude, that even if I believe even if I changed it out, it wasn't that big of a deal. I think that probably would have ended up happening. Terra is my strongest character by far. And plus, I mean, that was my strongest group. I had Terra and Shadow. So, I mean, the damage output would have been a lot less because I put only one person in the other party. So it would just be one person versus 2 people actually doing damage. And it didn't really help that I didn't have a lot of healing. So, as you knew during my final Kefka fight, that wasn't, I was just trying to piece it all together.
Yeah, and if it's going to be Doom all in a row, the only thing that stops you is relics that we don't have, right? So
yeah, safety bit, which is funny because I think I picked up the safety bit and I sold it in the beginning.
Well, yeah, because I usually sell them too because I never use them, right? But this would have been one case where it would have actually helped. But it is what it is. It's not, and the amount of time that would have been lost to warping out and coming back in, was that going to be worth it? And probably not, right? It's just, well, let's pray to RNGesus and leave my crystals out in the moonlight and hope that this works.
Well,
most definitely.
I retried the fight twice, and the mistake I made was not grinding one more fight. So I ended up grinding another fight, and then it was fine. He didn't do me in the beginning, and then I had like 3, so I was just trying to utilize some targets. I was happy that Umaro at least was at least there to take some damage for some of it. So, but just it was just unfortunate, all these Dooms in a row, and then it's just the same character, and yeah.
It was definitely. It was sometimes, you just RNG just takes you out, and Doom was really on a rampage with you, or Doom Gaze was. So, good job sticking it out. Regardless, I know that can be extremely frustrating. And I did have one question, sort of about a play that you made. What was the thought process on leaving Locke behind in Umaro's cave?
You know what? That's funny you say that because I just at that point I didn't need another character. I was actually kind of hoping that some of the other checks I had would have been really really fast. Obviously, I had Celeste, who was who could have wielded the Atma weapon, and I guess really the issue was, and I hope to never make this mistake again. I didn't check who could use the Atma weapon. So I was all prepared. I already had everything put over, and then find out that he couldn't use it. And I don't think that there was anyone else in my party that could use the rag at the time either. But that was down the line. That was a mistake. I should have taken Locke. But I'm kind of curious. I assume Gretham took Locke, and he was in the tower. Did he end up those Locke checks? Did they end up panning out to be Espers?
The only lock check he took, and it was actually part of his unlock, was the weapon shop. So the weapon shop did have both an Esper and a shield. So that would have at least saved you one check, assuming you didn't do Phoenix Cave or something like that. But he did not check Tunnel Armor or South Figaro Cave, so I'm not sure if that was also an Esper, which is another option for a quick check for Locke.
Yeah, part of the problem was we were going through sort of our, what checks do we have? And we still had so many checks that we hadn't looked at when there was Locke, right? And our philosophy was we need Espers now, and we have these tons of checks that need Espers. And yeah, I'm here and Locke is here too, but this is, a couple of minutes that we don't have to do. Little did we know that we would run into so many dead checks later on that we had to pick up Sabin, right? We were kind of like, do we pick up Sabin here? Do you want to do Sabin's checks? And the answer was unilaterally yes at that point.
And then Setzer shows up.
Of
Setzer
course.
shows up. And we're like, oh, great. This is fun. Just character overload, right?
Yeah. Gotta love it.
I just think because of the damage, I was in my mindset, I was in go mode. Like there was so much, like even swapping Terra out after Magi Master, my characters were doing so much damage. And honestly, I thought that was, or I probably thought in my mind, like, what, like, I'm just going to go. Cause like I only looted 43 chests. I think obviously the menu boss is is a big opportunity as well, but no, dude, I think it was just mostly that I thought I was in go mode most of the time and just basically just ram through checks, go find some Espers, and then we're good to go.
Yeah, you and Gretham were ready to go at like 30 minutes. You had so much offense so early. So I definitely understand that, like, I just need Espers and I'm ready. But of course, sometimes the seed has other ideas for you.
Yeah, one thing I will say that I have is that I know I have a lot of tenacity, so I will never stop doing a seed until it's done. Like, so it's just who I am. It'll bother me for a long time if I don't. If I do, like, I won't be able to sleep until it's done. So I'm kind of like delaying myself from those crazy Jevrock seeds simply because I'll just stay up and I want to hammer it.
Yeah, careful with that. They're spicy, but they're also really good practice in learning really niche mechanics. But I think having that sort of tenacity in general and being able to push through difficult seeds will propel you faster than if you just abandon difficulty, because difficulty is going to teach you a lot more than ease. So hitting those tough seeds that you're struggling with, or just getting knocked down over and over and being forced to figure out a tactic to get through a certain speed bump is massive. I think that's huge. So I think that'll pay off in the long run and the short run. It just pays off. Glue, you got any questions?
No, I think we've covered on everything. I before we let Schwartz and before we let Velvet go, guys, is there anything y'all want to plug? Y'all want to talk about outside of our community, or give a shout out to before we sign off and let y'all go?
Yeah, shout out to you guys for putting on the show. Can't have the races without the crew. So thank you for doing the commentary and the tracking and the restreaming. really appreciate that, and I am really enjoying the Moogle Cup a lot. I think Velvet and we had a conversation yesterday, and we were talking about one of the things that we were working on was what do we do during our opening, and I sort of pulled up a tracker and highlighted a bunch of different checks that have forced encounters in them, and I'm like, here's where I would like to go. And Velvet's like, you'll go to the opera house with Celeste? And I'm like, yeah, I'll go there first. And then
You're a madman.
the question is, why? Doesn't that check take a long time? I'm like, yes. And he's like, doesn't it make more sense to just take off your Moogle charm while after you get the the prisoner spot, take like 3 fights, and it'll be much less time than doing the opera house? I'm like, huh, I never thought of that. So the professor, if you will, has become the student sometimes. So that's one of the things I love about doing, the mentor tournament, is when you have to explain your thought process or something to somebody, it makes you understand what you're doing a lot more. But then it's also good to get a new perspective to challenge your preconceived notions of what's going on. So this has been really, really fun and really eye-opening. So thank you, Velvet, for challenging my expertise.
No problem. From my side, I just want to say thank you as well to the to the restreamers. Thank you, Gretham. You played a hell of a race yesterday, and you brought it today. Also, thanks, of course, Schwantz, for dedicating his time. It's not easy being like someone from the West Coast and having to deal with the scheduling and whatnot. So I just want to say thank you. The Moogle Cup has been a great experience. I'm thinking about doing like a write-up about, what my experience was, or maybe like a short video, because it really did help. A lot of the things that I learned was, it's easy to watch a streamer and basically think you can basically take that and just start doing it. But what I learned from Schwantz, and what he's really helped me with, is to understand the whys of what they're doing and the hows, and just trying to kind of get in their mindset. I think it's super important, because you can't just, I don't know, you can't just basically be like, okay, I have the routing and all this other stuff. There's a lot more to it. And then Schwantz has that, he has more information in spades than I've ever seen. Like, honestly, most of the FAQs, he knows exactly where to pull it from, and like certain situations, like I feel like I'm learning a lot. That's all I gotta say. And I've banged out a lot of seeds, but for practice, but there's always room for growth, and I'm just happy to I'm able to not only do seeds, but also get it VOD reviews and whatnot. And of course, thanks for the Worlds Collide community. I've used your guide tons of times. I watched Golden Shocker, I've watched Falcon Hit, and I watch all you guys, and it's just really a great community to be a part of.
Yeah, so maybe we can have Glue take out an op-ed in the Mobilist Chronicle. We'll see if that'll happen, if you're going to do a write-up.
Start your own darn paper. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, I may have something.
I don't want to step on your
up.
distribution toes,
I may have something lined up to seek that type of input. I have some changes that I'd like to implement for the next one, but that's obviously for the next one. And then what we have is what we have. But it could be a little bit better. And I'm also going to get, as much feedback as I can from everybody involved, so we can run a little more efficiently. What can we do better? What worked? What didn't? And so on and so forth.
Nice.
And
good.
With that, thank you again, Velvet. Thank you again, Gretham. Thank you, Schwantz. Thank you, Numbers. And appreciate you guys racing for us tonight on the restream.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You bet. And y'all guys have a good night. I do want to give a special shout out again to Gig of Ram for hosting the restream, Metash24, who was our tracker, and then last but not least, Physics Shebang for doing commentary with me tonight. We appreciate you guys very much so, and all the effort you give towards our community. Physics, do you have anything else you'd like to give a shout out to before we raid a Tonic Sea Runner?
No, nothing in particular. I just, as you said, thank you to all the restreamers and everybody who puts forth a tremendous amount of effort for this community. I'll always say it's one of the most welcoming communities I've ever been in, and the only one I've felt compelled to contribute to, quite honestly. So, just thank you for all you do, especially Glue. You've been a huge contributor from day one, since you completely floored me in Tonic C 2 seasons ago. Yeah, it's been great to see how things have developed. So thank you very much. I also appreciate you co-commentating with me. You know, I feel like I could try my best to commentate on my own, but it is nice to be able to bump questions and things off of somebody. So appreciate you stepping in there.
You bet. You can bump me anytime, my dog.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
All right. Well, again, Tonic C spoilers incoming in the raid. I was gonna say we're gonna raid Papa Shango 53. He just walked past Mobiles and he didn't pet the dog, so now we're gonna raid somebody else. No, I'm kidding. We'll still raid over to him, but I'll only let him slide this one time. So Tonic C spoilers for Week 5 Ultras League incoming. Keep that in mind if you are a part of that division, and we'll see everybody else later. Y'all have a good night.
Have a great night, everybody.